Dr. David Jeremiah writes, out of the 216 chapters found in the entire New Testament, did you know there are 318 references to the second coming of Christ? That means if you were to omit passages about prophecy, you would have to remove 1 out of every 30 verses in the New Testament. You would also have to skip 23 of the 27 New Testament books, because that's how many mention it. For every prophecy about the birth of Christ, there are 8 about his second coming. Considering prophecy's prominence in the Bible, how could any believer neglect it? We reserve a few minutes to discuss current trends that you'd expect from reading Bible prophecy. We are futurists. We interpret the unfulfilled end times prophecies as future events, and we believe they will occur in a literal, physical, apocalyptic, and global context. They're not allegories or stories. They are prophecies of the history of the future. Biometrics and artificial intelligence, cashless commerce, the manipulation of human DNA, global government, the exponential growth of human knowledge, and especially the rebirth of national Israel, these are all end times phenomena the Bible predicts that we watch. And they are all increasingly trending in the news. The future 7-year Great Tribulation is described in detail, chapters 6 through 18 in the Revelation. One of its key features is the global authoritarian government of the Antichrist. The dreaded mark of the beast will be a system of identification and surveillance by which the government will extend total control over its citizens to the point, really, of life and death. Is there a trend towards authoritarian government? Oh, yeah. I read an article titled, "The Creeping Authoritarianism of Facial Recognition." The tagline is, "The same technology that Russia uses to keep its people in line has come to America." Another article was titled, "Democracy Faces Perfect Storm as the World Becomes More Authoritarian." Here's some excerpts from that article. Many democratic governments are increasingly adopting authoritarian tactics, accentuated by the COVID-19 pandemic, while autocratic regimes are consolidating their power. These are the key findings of the Global State of Democracy Report 2021, Building Resilience in a Pandemic Era, published in November 21 by the National Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, pronounced IDEA. In the Global State Democracy Report is not a wake-up call, it's an alarm bell. Authoritarianism advances in every corner of the earth. Universal values, the pillars of civilization that protect the most vulnerable, are under threat. And then they mention this: overall, the number of countries moving in an authoritarian direction in 2020 outnumbered those that were going in a democratic direction. Harvard Law School is calling the rise of authoritarian government the other pandemic. This quote from them particularly disturbing. The global copycat response to viral containment is setting a dangerous precedent for future pandemics and disasters, with a gratuitous toll being inflicted on democracy, civil liberties, fundamental freedoms, healthcare ethics, and human dignity. This has the potential to unleash humanitarian crises no less devastating than COVID-19 in the long run. And so Harvard Law School is concluding that while some of these techniques and methods are saving lives in the short run, in the long run, this idea that the government is going to step in all the time and be authoritarian and eventually stay that way is going to hurt far more people. AP News titled a report, "Authoritarianism Advances as the World Battles Pandemic." Yet another source put it this way: while you're worrying about your family, your house, your job, or your next grocery delivery, more and more governments are biting into the forbidden fruit of surveillance. Claiming to monitor quarantines and self-isolating people, authorities are now giving themselves more rights than ever over people's freedoms. A definite trend towards global authoritarian government was long ago predicted by the Bible. And it wasn't too long ago here in the United States and in what we consider the Western world, where some of the things that we see happening today and did happen, you would have found unbelievable. No one would have thought that these mandates, some of them in particular, could be mandated, I guess is the word. And so it's a move towards government being in control. And there are other quotes from government leaders. They want to take advantage of this fear that people have. And for example, the next thing they're going to work on is climate change. They're going to start mandating things for climate change. And if you don't agree with them or do what they want you to do, there'll be penalties. And so government is now flexing its muscle, and it will lead into the Great Tribulation and the one world government. Now, we believe the resurrection and rapture of the church are imminent. It could happen any moment. Nothing needs to happen before it happens, and it's going to happen before the Great Tribulation. You and I, if we're Christian, will not have part in the Great Tribulation. We know that the Lord is coming in the clouds. He's going to raise the dead in Christ. We which are alive and remain will be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. We'll be caught up with them together. Then the tribulation. After that, the 1,000-year kingdom. After that, eternity. So the question today is, are you ready for the rapture? Because that could come at any minute. If not, get ready and stay ready. Keep looking up. Ready or not, Jesus is coming.